Hey guys, welcome back. Today it's a bit of a different video from the usual owner interviews in that I'm actually going to be talking about my own car. So this is a BMW E63 630i. So the 630i is with the infamous N52 engine, and I genuinely think this is one of the most underrated or underappreciated BMWs. So the later 6 series, the E63 being the coupe, the E64 being the convertible, were actually given the N52 straight 6 petrol engine. And yes, it's the entry level option, but actually I think it represents a really good purchase. Amongst all BMW fans and general engine fans, the N52 naturally aspirated 6-cylinder petrol is, you know, the words that bounce around all the time are bulletproof. They have a fantastic reliability record if, and it is a big if, they've been well maintained. This is the last of the naturally aspirated BMW engines. This was later upgraded to the N53 engine, but they actually had a worse reliability record than the N52. So I wanted a 630 for a while. I think growing up when I saw the 6 Series, I thought it was a really good looking car, especially the sort of Ministry of Sound-esque brake lights. I think the crisp-angled design has aged really well. Lots of people at the time when this first came out really didn't like the look of it, but I think actually in 2025 it looks really good. It's aged really gracefully. I think it's a quietly confident car. It's not loud, it's not shouty, it's not a hey look at me kind of car. I've taken this to car events, and you know, people just assume that, you know, it's just someone's car that's just been parked in the corner of an event. I've seen people stand next to my car taking pictures of other cars, which is slightly humbling. But you know, this is not a car event car. But what I think it is one, a very cheap and easy way to get into an N52 engine, and you know, I think for all the right reasons, this is regarded as one of BMW's best ever engines. It's an incredibly comfortable car to live with. This is my sort of second car, if you will. There's a few little bits that I need to do to this. The brakes, discs and pads need to be changed. But this car very comfortably could be your daily car. It's very easy to live with, very easy to drive, supremely comfortable. The seats, you could easily do lots and lots of miles in. I mean, it was designed really as a Grand Tourer. You know, this was a sleek, comfortable car with a big engine up front, rear-wheel drive, with a massive fuel tank. I think it's something like 90 litres. So it's a really big fuel tank. It's comfortable. You can do lots and lots of miles. On a run, I'm getting, you know, 38, 39, you know, if you're just driving sensibly. So it's not all that, you know, it's not that all that hard to live with and to run with. And in terms of getting into one, the price of these has really sort of hit the bottom of the sort of depreciation curve. I got this for just over £3,500 about 6 months ago, and I think it's a hell of a lot of car for the money. Yes, it's on 117,000 miles, but again, with this engine, if it's been well looked after, and given it's 19 years old now, it's less than 10,000 miles a year, which I think is pretty good for a car of this age. And really, you know, I'll probably put a private plate on this at some point, and then with a private plate, this really doesn't look 19 years old, and it certainly doesn't. It looks a lot more car for the money than £3,500. The 630i is a sort of entry level, if you will. It had a 4.4 645 CI V8, which was later upgraded to the 4.8 650i V8, and those cars are terrific. They sound absolutely amazing, but for me, I wanted a car that I could actually live with both on a day-to-day level, but actually I really want a car that will last me. I want to take this to 150, 200,000 miles, and that's perfectly possible in this sort of car and engine. With the V8s, they just, maybe it's my fault for spending too long in the BMW forums and online, but there were just far, far, far too many problems that I read about. I just didn't feel comfortable hitting the button on a V8, and there were V8s cheaper than this 630i that I got, so they're perfectly affordable to buy, but just because you can afford to buy it doesn't mean you can afford to run it, and when those things go wrong, it's never going to be cheap. So, and then of course you've got the flagship M6 with the 5-litre V10, which are incredibly rare nowadays, but also incredibly unreliable. They had a real knack for just about exploding or imploding. So again, this is the more sensible option. It's not a sensible car, I would say, but it's definitely the sensible choice of engine for this car. So what this car isn't is an out-and-out performance car. It's not a take it on a track day and throw it around the corners. This handles incredibly well, and BMWs of this era have that slightly heavier steering as standard, which I prefer. I think it's how a car should handle, if I'm honest. It's kind of ruined modern cars for me, because modern cars now feel just so light, and yeah. So steering wise, it's really quite surprisingly engaging to drive. This is a long car, it's a little bit boaty. It's meant as a sort of comfortable grand cruising car, if you like, but you can still throw this in corners. The engine being naturally aspirated just means that you can absolutely rev it all the way to 7,000 RPM, and it sounds fantastic. It actually surprises me when I really hit it hard just how well this drives. Like I say, for being an automatic, yes, the manual is probably the better option. If I'm being honest, I was just a bit too impatient. I wanted a 630i, and I didn't want to wait around for the manuals, which are incredibly rare. But you can really smash through the gears. It's not it doesn't change too quickly. It's not frustrating gearbox to work with. It revs out really nicely, and like I say, when you put it in the sport button, it kicks down really well. Hopefully you can hear how good that sounds. It's got really linear gearing, so it just endless sort of power. It's more of an instant shove than you would probably give, especially for a car that isn't turboed. It just feels like a really nice car to drive if you want to be in that mood. Most of the time you're not in the sport mode, you're just cruising, and it's such an easy, comfortable car to drive around, especially when you're in that sort of cruising state of mind. So today's video has kindly been sponsored by Tacona. You may have seen me wear some of their clothing in previous Owners Club episodes, but Tacona are an automotive clothing brand that really champions mental health, particularly talking about your feelings. A lot of people, especially men, are really crap at talking about their feelings and talking about how they actually feel, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise. So Tacona does a really good job of highlighting this and encouraging people to talk, whether that is through their clothing, whether that's through the car events, their podcasts, anything else. So I'm a really big fan of Tacona. Take a look at the website in the link below. You can use that link or promo code RestoRevival. You'll help the show, you'll help Tacona, and hopefully we can help other people talk about their mental health. So in terms of the good points of the car, the engine, is one of my favourite things about this car. It sounds fantastic, goes really nicely, and being a bit more reliable, it's just easier to live with. You don't have to sort of worry just so much. Insurance, very, very cheap. I got this insured at 29-year-old in a fairly average area for about 300 quid, which I think is just really, really good. Looks, as I've talked about, I think this is a really good looking car. It's quite an understated sort of look. It's quite classy. It's not sort of look at me style vibes. So yeah, I really like the way this looks. It's got, when I sort of judge a car on looks, it's that sort of look back factor. You know, when you go to the shops and you park your car and you walk out and you look back, I like looking back at this car. It kind of makes me smile in a good way, not a sort of smug way. But I just think this is such a lot of car for £3.5 grand. Yes, you can get them cheaper. I wouldn't. If I'd had more sort of spare budget for the second car, maybe I would have gone for a slightly lower mileage at around the sort of £5 grand mark. But with this history, it looked like it had been really well looked after, so the mileage wasn't actually too much of a problem for me. In terms of the negative points of the car, the big expensive elephant in the room is tax. This sits in the highest UK tax bracket at £710. That may have even gone up now to £735. I personally can't understand why it's in that bracket. There are cars with bigger engines, with seemingly more, pumping out more CO2, that are in lower tax brackets. I don't really understand why this is in the most. I think if you went for the 2007 6 Series 630i onwards, the N52 went into, or they changed it into the N53, which is it has slightly increased power, slightly increased torque, and it falls down into the lower tax bracket, which was an appealing proposition. But the more reading I went and did, the more people were saying that the N52 rather than the N53 is the better option of engine. So bit the bullet and chose the lower powered, higher tax bracket, but hopefully this will sort of last in the long run. So yeah, tax is the big one, and yes, it is expensive. There's no getting around it. £700 a year just to drive the car is expensive, but personally I think life is too short. If you want a car and you want to drive the car and you enjoy it, then who cares? 60 quid a month. Yes, you could spend that on better things, but I like cars, so why not? The other sort of negatives, if you will, these are more sort of little things than they are big things. On the facelifted 6 Series, the rear light went from the top of the screen into the actual tail of the car, which is a lot better, because at the moment, at night time, if I'm driving and I brake, the brake light illuminates the entire rear screen. So you actually, when you're braking at night, you cannot see what's behind you, which I can't really understand how that ever sort of passed car testing, if I'm honest. Other thing, there is no cup holders as standard. This one actually has a factory fitted optional extra one cup holder, but it looks like it's straight out of the Aldi middle aisle. It does not look BMW standard. I cannot believe it looks as bad as it does for saying that's an optional extra. So if you're looking to buy one, I would implore you to look for one with a factory fitted cup holder. So yeah, no cup holders on a grand touring car always seems like a very strange decision, really, for saying what this car is going to be used for. Cup holders just seems like a natural thing you'd put in there as standard, really. So why would you buy a 6 Series or 630i? Well, I think it's a very comfortable, classy car that is very easy to live with. The N52 straight 6 3-litre petrol I think is an absolute gem. It's predominantly very reliable, providing that they've been looked after and, you know, they've followed the sort of correct maintenance schedules. It's a very, very easy car to live with. Yes, it's quite long, but actually with front and rear parking sensors, I have no problem or issues with parking this car. As I said, insurance is pretty low. If you drive sensibly, you can get really good miles per gallon with this. And actually, because this car started out life with the V8 in mind, with the smaller, lighter 630i engine, there is actually quite a bit of room, especially at the front of the engine bay, for you to work on this car. So I'm not that mechanically minded, but you know, I've done the service, I've changed the spark plugs in the ignition coils and investigated some coolant leaks, etc. And I've found all of that to be really relatively easy to work on. So if you want to sort of teach yourself the basics of mechanics, this really isn't a bad car to work on, especially given the price. I do think these will rise in value, especially the N52 models. I think they're great engines, phenomenally reliable. So I do really think they're at the bottom of that depreciation curve, and they will start to go up in value in the coming years. And actually, I just think it's a very, very underrated car. The way that this was designed means that they used a lot of aluminium in the design and manufacture of this car. So it's as light, if not slightly lighter, than the equivalent 3 Series, which a lot of people will probably be quite surprised at. So it drives better than you think. It has better economy than you might imagine. It's the reliable engine choice to go for. You can get into them extremely affordably. And yeah, I think for a 19-year-old car, I think this looks great. It drives well. You know, I can't really see me parting with it. It gives me too much driving pleasure, and it's great to look at. And if I was to sell this right now, you know, at $3.5 grand, I think it's a really, really good car for $3.5 grand. I'm not sure what I would be able to get that does as many of the good things that this car does for $3 grand. So I intend to put a lot of miles on it, generally look after it and treasure it. And yeah, I have a feeling this will be in my life for a long time, he says. So yeah, if you like this video, please give it a like. If you've got any comments or questions, please leave them below. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.